All right.
Yours is pretty original. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's not original. It's Star Wars.
I know, but it makes it seem like you're in the cockpit.
It actually does. Yeah, I love this. So, you want to introduce us, Jason, since it's been a while?
Well, let me close the door. Ready, set, and go. Welcome to a Little Less Than Random Quarantine Edition, featuring me, as always, Jason, and my subordinate, Andrew.
Ordinate. I'm the one in a fighter jet.
Fighter jet, yeah. I'm like in some 80s world, all right?
So, yeah. So, just for historical context, if anybody watches this way later, this is towards the tail end. Well, how would we know? It's hard to say. We are in, what is it? May.
Whatever. I don't know,
May 30th, 2020.
Day 64 of the I don't know. I'm just exaggerating here.
Yeah.
Who knows how long it's been? Almost 3 months since quarantine?
I don't know how many days, or it's like
the stay-at-home order?
3 months, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like, so it's
summer now.
April 13th, so April 13th, March 13th, March, April, May. So 2.5 months, almost 3 months. And I've been working from home. You've been working probably in a plexiglass bubble or something like that. I haven't been to a Walmart since before the stay-at-home order.
Really? Are you that scared, Andrew?
No, I'm not really that scared. I'm just being very precautious. And also, I think you already knew this about me. I don't like
so that's thousands of people, protesting.
I know. So we should talk about the protests for sure too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't like a lot of people, and so I have difficulty going to a Costco on my own. And that was before the stay-at-home order. So now that there's all these like little rules of engagement and how you have to go around and you have the mask, it's an added layer of stuff that I don't like to do. So I've been going to the store maybe once every 2 weeks, and I've gone a couple times to see my mom very carefully, but we're not going out as much. So I'm trying to limit the risk to me and my family mostly. But I'm still, that said, the risks are fairly low. We're starting to learn, but 105,000 people have died. Something like that.
I don't know, man. Beats them. I don't know. The numbers, they stack up, they rise, they stay stagnant for a while, and they just either it's starting to trickle down or they're starting to creep its way back up. I don't know if the curve. I don't know. I've not heard anything saying, "Hey, guess what, guys?" From the government saying, we're flattening the curve. But I know we're in phases now, so that must mean something.
Yeah, we've definitely flattened the curve quite a lot, and the transmission rate has stayed pretty steady and has been going down a little bit, but it varies by place, it seems like. So we had a couple things we wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah, definitely a lot of things to talk about. Things that inspired since the last episode we had, since when was God who knows when.
More than a month ago, right?
Yeah, probably more than a month now.
So there were a couple things that you recommended that we talk about. So which one do you want to go with? I'll let you choose.
Well, let's just talk about what's relevant now. And just, we can talk about the phases and what's going on with the state, and then just the whole social unrest.
Yeah.
Going on.
Yeah. So you want to talk about George Floyd?
Yeah, let's talk about George Floyd. I mean, poor guy didn't deserve what happened to him. Like, it's just unbearable. Have you seen the video?
I did. It was awful. It's probably the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, like even UFC fighters, even wrestlers don't do that. Like, there's a reason why no one does that move anymore.
And to me, it seems like everybody could see that. Like, even a child could see that the person could die. And I'm just amazed, like, how is it that there were, whether 3 or 4 officers involved? There was one other officer that was in camera in the clip that I saw. And from what I heard, there was also a paramedic who was involved, who checked the guy's pulse while the guy kept his knee on him the whole time. And there's even rumors that they might have known each other before because they worked for
well, that just adds another layer of mystery, another piece of the puzzle. Like, okay, you think it was motivated? You think it was preemptively motivated? Because there was a video from the restaurant just outside right before, he was prone to the ground. He was just, he didn't seem like he was resisting. He was just,
No,
you know,
not at all. Absolutely. The guy was down, didn't seem like he was resisting. They did not need to do that. So
as they were walking around the corner right behind the vehicles, something must have happened.
I don't know. But even if something had happened, there's a certain point at which the guy's down and the guy's been
I mean, the guy's already incapacitated. He can't do any harm. It's
right.
four cops, one of him.
Exactly, exactly. And
He's
so
already subdued. There's not much he can do. Just put him in the cop car, and at least he'd still have his life.
right. And so
But
even
there was no reason for him to be pinned under almost 10 minutes
yeah,
of that for no reason. Clearly, everyone said just let him go. Right? Just there's no need for that. No need to prolong it for whatever reason.
right.
He's already down. Just take him and go.
Exactly. And even if he had been accused of doing something really heinous, he should have his day in court. Once somebody's captured, we even give terrorists their day in court once they're captured, once they're already no longer a threat. So it regardless of what people can say, he maybe even did.
Well, I mean, forgery, but that like they say, the punishment must fit the crime. Obviously, well, I guess he had fake $100 bill or whatever, but.
Right. So I mean, yeah. So that's the thing. It's an enormous punishment. But even if he had done something worse, I'm saying that was just absolutely horrific. That is absolutely wrong. It was a death sentence.
Yeah, so it's weird because I only remember seeing the video in passing for the Mr. Checkpoint Instagram page. It's actually an app. So it went from like I said, seeing checkpoints in your area in real time, and now it's just a way to hold police accountable and just share police brutality stories and narrate them and whatnot. So that just happened to be in that before this whole thing blew up.
Wow, I didn't know about it.
National level.
So
I
okay,
thought it was a common thing for police to put their knee behind someone's neck, like I
no,
guess. Well, I guess they were supposed to do that. I guess not ever in a prolonged state. Like this guy did it without a care in the world. Like the officer, like everyone, like I said, was like clearly saying, like let him breathe, let him breathe. Like he's already down. There's nothing he can do. Like they ignored him.
so
They ignored them.
do you think it had to do with authority? Do you think the guy just didn't want to be told what to do?
Pretty much, I think that's what it is. Like cops don't want their authority to be, questioned or like supposedly their authority knows no bounds. And
Specifically,
then yeah, even that news reporter. I don't know if you've heard about the news reporter. He gets arrested even though clearly he had his credentials and his camera crew and his producer aside with them.
yeah. And I think people were outraged, and I think rightly so, that the news reporter gets arrested faster than the cop that did it.
Yeah, it kind of overlapped. But yeah, either way, it would be the fastest, period ever that police officer would get arrested.
That's true, but
Usually,
not fast enough.
most cases would be, it takes probably like weeks to a month,
Yeah.
maybe even a year. Who knows?
I read something like 9 months.
Yeah, like I mean, there's no need for internal investigation. The video is all there.
Right.
I mean, everyone was playing with the officer. Just let him go. He can't breathe. He can't breathe.
Hmm. And so it's absolutely horrible. It's curious why not the paramedic who should have known better too, and the other officers. And that's what I heard. I'm not 100% sure if there was a paramedic there, but from what I heard, I didn't see a paramedic in the video. There was a paramedic who checked the pulse of George Floyd.
Maybe after the fact, that
Uh-huh.
damage has already been done.
So yeah, so that's absolutely awful. I don't know if there's anything more. I really don't have much to add or say
Well,
about.
I mean, this is what. Don't forget, this is all led up to like. This was all a series of hate crimes that have been happening in 2020. I mean, if we go back to what's his name, Ahmaud Arbery, I believe that was his name.
Mhm.
I mean, George Floyd was like the latest of these like
Right.
hate crimes, and it's just pretty much just the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right. Well, that's a good point, and I can think of something relevant. Whenever we can so something can be pervasive and systemic, but because it's so large, people don't really see it. And when we can think when certain stories happen that we can see and really visualize, that seems to be what catalyzes more action.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, when we saw the Ahmad Arbery, hopefully I'm saying that name right.
But
Um,
but
yeah, with the video of it, even though the video was questionable.
well, even the example I was going to say specifically with straws, do you remember that video that came out a couple years back about the turtle with the straw stuck in its nose?
No, I've not seen that.
Oh, well, that's what's behind, or I believe that's what's behind, or was behind the plastic straw ban everywhere.
Yeah, but I was speaking an analogy. I wasn't being literal.
I know, but I was trying to be both. I was trying to do both. So, to use an example, in the ocean, there are massive, 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 almost islands of plastic in the ocean that are problematic. And it was one video of one turtle suffering that really resonated with people and seemed to get people's interest in plastic straws. And so I was saying, like you said, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. When we can see it, now that we have cell phones, now that we can capture it, it's like this thing has been going on. These sorts of issues are pervasive. They're problematic. They're massive. They've been going on throughout history of time. But when we can connect with these specific examples, that seems to resonate better when we can see specific individuals suffer. And this has been going on forever.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
It's 2020, man, and racism. I don't think it's ever gonna go away. But
Right.
you know, I don't know. I've been reading stuff on Instagram. It's not whites versus blacks. It's everyone versus races. Let's just call it for what it is. It's a war on racism. We're all human. Regardless of skin color, and we just need to, just gotta fight those people with those evil attitudes, that behavior, just that disgusting way of thinking.
Yeah. And I wonder what happened. I think it has to do something with authority, something to do.
Authority is always, yeah, people, I don't know. When it comes to authority, I don't know why is it people in authority always corrupt themselves with power.
Mhm.
It's just, I don't know, they're drunk with power. Just because you have a badge and uniform and a gun doesn't mean you're tall and mighty and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I always think, there should be plenty of training, and you would think that just given that there are all these issues in news feeds and stories, that just for the optics alone, that officers would be weary of being the next person. You would think that would be an incentive not to do these horrible things on camera. You would think even
Yeah, I mean, well, even things that weren't even captured on camera. Did you hear that this was back in 2017? It was about a minority police officer. His name was Mohammed Noor, and he had shot an Australian white woman because she had called in the police in the middle of the night saying she had heard some sexual assault from the back of her house in the alleyway. And as soon as she saw the cops pull by, supposedly a loud noise had happened as she was trying to approach the cop car.
Mhm.
And then he overreacted and shot the lady right from the police
Oh,
door of the car.
I I'm not sure if I remember this story. How long ago was it? It was a while back.
2017.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah, and then like everyone was lauding, this police officer because he was a minority, he was a person of color.
so when it happens, so you're saying when it happens, I think I get what you're saying. That this happens, whenever this happens, it's wrong. It's horrible.
I mean, yeah. I mean, usually we really get really angry at police officers that are white, obviously white, right?
Yeah, I think though, what I would
Like
really
a one-off chance that he was a minority, and
right. Well, here's what I would do though. With this one, I would differentiate this one because, and I don't know the exact time. You could watch the video and time it, but it was several minutes that he was kneeling on the guy's neck. So this
oh
wasn't.
yeah, going back to the whole George Floyd. Yeah, like I said, almost like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Imagine that pressure. Okay, imagine like if this was like MMA, right? Imagine, and like I said, they don't do this in MMA, but imagine if someone did that as a submission move, that guy would have been dead if
yeah.
there was like no rules and whatnot.
Right. So, but I'm trying to make a distinction over time. So, as somebody makes a decision, this guy had multiple exit points in terms of making a better decision. This
Yeah, at any time you could have released him, but he just kept prolonging it, prolonging it, prolonging it.
Yeah, but it's
to, to the point that he was dead. You know.
so that's different though than if somebody makes a split second uh accidental or just a poor choice in one split second. I would say it almost seems like because it lasted quite a few minutes, 7 or 8 minutes, that he was making a mistake after mistake after mistake. He had all these opportunities to let the guy breathe and let the guy go. And it's just amazing that there
Maybe
was.
there's more to the story. Like I said, you know, they knew each other. Maybe she wanted to get back at him for some reason. Who knows? And then, you know, regardless of what happened, whether they knew each other or not. And then, you know, it's like 1992 all over again with the riots and beatings and God knows what chaos.
What do you think about that? About the riots?
It's counterintuitive. Like, I get it. People are pissed off and they want to, like, you know, they're trying to show that enough is enough and it's time for change. But, you know, obviously it's a wrong way of going about it. And keep in mind, you know, we're still, you know, in lockdown, quarantine. So protesting, like I get it. At least keep your social distances if you're going to protest, at least, and wear a mask.
Wear a mask, right?
But, you know, these protests are not always protests. They're just simply, you know, riots bleeding into vandalism and looting.
Have you seen that argument that there was a photos of a guy who might be a police officer breaking like AutoZone windows trying to start the riots? Did you see about that or hear about that?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
That was another story. So it could be that somebody was trying to incite the violence. Um, I do think that with the riots, there are a lot of people arguing that we shouldn't criticize the riots at all. And I just wonder if it were their
I
house.
mean, yeah, think about it. You know, they're looting businesses, and guess who's being affected by that? Small business people.
Minorities too, yeah.
Minorities, yeah, especially minorities who have own small businesses.
And they're already, and these businesses might already be going under.
They've been hurt because of, you know, because of stay-at-home order, quarantine, lockdown thing, right?
Mhm.
And now this riot happens. So not only are they losing money, or they're hurting because of the stay-at-home order, pandemic, whatever. You know, their stores and businesses are being looted, destroyed. So
Exactly.
it's a lose-lose situation for them.
Right. And so I have a friend who I have a few friends who've posted about the businesses, and I know people want to defend our right to protest. I think that that's very, very important to protest, but they're also defending the violence and the destroying of businesses. To be logically consistent, they should give out their home addresses so people can riot and protest their personal property. And if you were to hook up a heart measure to their finger to get their pulse, there should be no beeps and movements in their blood pressure if somebody were to throw something through their front window. And so I don't think that that's quite the an honest way to go about it, or a logical way to go about it. I'm not sure if the riots, to me, it seems like there are a lot of people just trying to, well, just people who are angry, and some people are just trying to create some havoc. I'm not even sure if it's, oh, and God bless you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank
I'm not sure if it's even people who are protesting. I think that there are some people who are protesting, and then there's some people just rioting.
Yeah, so you're like, yeah, you were totally right about that. Yeah, like I don't know. I guess it's an excuse for some people to just, you know, start shit when there's shit that shouldn't be started. You know, like again, you know, 2020 has been a shitty year.
Would this be, well, while we're kind of on the topic of social justice, you want to talk a bit about that movie you recommended to me?
Which ones? I've recommended a lot of
Oh
movies.
yeah, you did recommend. Which ones did I watch? I watched Loose, which was pretty good, and then you also made me watch one called, was it Cat Fight?
Yeah, that was just more.
Social justice related. That was hilarious, though. Let's
Yeah,
talk about that one because something positive. That
sure. Yeah,
although
yeah, it was very dark. I mean, for the spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it.
yeah, it wasn't that positive, I guess. There were some dark elements to it, but it reminded me a bit of Peter Griffin and the Chicken.
Yeah, like kind of reminds me of Family Guy with Peter Griffin putting that chicken. just
What
like
started
long
that?
back and forth fights.
Yeah. What even started that?
They're just their hatred for each other. They hate each other since college, and they always belittled each other and patronized one another. And
Did this feel a little bit like the live action version of that?
kinda, yeah, just with women.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen it, there really isn't much to it. It's funny. It's a little dark. Check out Catfight if you want something a little bit more lighthearted but
It's on
dark.
Netflix.
What do you say, Jason?
Netflix.
Netflix. Oh yeah, Netflix.
They
Although
wanted Netflix that, yeah.
I'm sure you can find it in other streaming services, perhaps. Okay, so then let's talk about Loose. That was a cool movie. I actually really liked that one.
Loose, yeah. I mean, yeah, spelled Luce, loose,
Like the light.
like the light. Loose, yeah. Yeah, Spanish, loose.
Hmm.
Paga la luz. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is Spanish for light.
Right.
But they still use something else in some other language. Yeah, but
Want to give a summary of it without giving too many spoilers, like a little synopsis for people who haven't watched it.
well, okay, so it's pretty much a white family adopted this black, African American child from a war torn country. Turns out to be really brilliant, prodigy, and so he's a valedictorian out of high school, senior year, and I guess one day I guess he had an assignment which required him to like write a paper on the voice of some historical figure. He ends up choosing a historical figure. I forgot his name, but someone saying it's okay to incite violence against colonizers, and
Mhm.
from there, that's just the whole plot of the movie.
Right, and he starts a rivalry or a sort of
Yeah, with like a kind of weird vendetta against his teacher.
mhm.
Yeah,
Who happens to be she's a history teacher. She happens to also be black, and
yeah.
um, it it plays on a lot of these social justice themes that we have in society because it also um, he games the system. He uses social justice to help himself attack this woman,
While fighting it too. Yeah.
and you could see both sides of it because she might have done something. They kind of play her a little bit more favorably, but she might have done something to
Supposedly she had arrested another student just for having marijuana,
yeah. Hmm.
and like supposedly she's known for like virtue signaling her beliefs
Hmm.
and putting it down her students' throats, but while favoring loose, this, the cream of the crop, and everyone's just down. So
Yeah,
that's
sort of picking one person and assuming that person's great, and then just sort of demonizing some of the others and making examples of the others. Yeah. So
pretty much.
yeah, so nobody won in this one. There was a lot of villains that you could say. It was a good movie. I actually enjoyed it. I thought that was a good choice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie. Yeah.
And so, without giving away too much, what I really liked about the movie was it was a commentary about how people can hack our sense of social justice. Because even the mom gets a little bit, she gets taken advantage of because she wants to be a good person, and because we all want to be good people, it shows how that can actually be taken advantage of. Which it should be obvious to people how that can happen, but people just don't want to act on it. They don't want to be, you know. Caught being the person discriminating against others.
So that's it for me reviews, I guess.
Yeah, well, we can do another one in the future. I don't know what you have on your list of things. There are a ton.
I just finished binge watching the first three RoboCop movies.
Oh, okay, we could do RoboCop in the future. Did you finish Ozark?
Just watched the original.
Yeah. Did you finish Ozark?
Yes, I finished all of those arc.
That was good. So if people haven't watched Ozark, they should definitely do that. Well, I said about as much as I wanted to do on the social justice topic. If there's anything else you want to talk about before we go.
I don't know. I mean, we just talked about the two main points kind of in depth already, and I just wish things were back to normal.
Do you think, okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you think, okay, we have the pandemic, there's so much going on politically. We have
And I don't think we talked about getting stimulus checks, but that's already happened. Who knows?
that already happened. I wasn't a huge, I think we talked about that last podcast. I wasn't a huge fan of how they did it because a lot of people got left out. But given what, but still, okay, given everything that's happened, with the pandemic, with the economy, it's just been going kind of crazy. Although the stock market really has rebounded quite a lot. It's really weird. Um, and given the riots and given just the state of the political climate with Joe Biden being such a terrible candidate, what do you think? What is your outlook for the 2020 election?
Wow, you had to get that political, huh?
I'm just curious. I don't
Well, okay, this is all I have to say, and I'm just gonna get it out of the way.
know.
Anyone but Trump.
But do you think this helps Trump? Like, sometimes people have like Stockholm syndrome. When something bad happens, they
Yeah, speaking of Trump, yeah, he tweeted something about the protest saying, "Oh, if people continue protesting, they're gonna get shot at."
yeah. And
He did not.
and you heard about what Twitter did with that. They put a little comment apparently on it.
Yeah, yeah, like we don't glorify violence on this platform.
Yeah, and so he's starting an executive order for freedom of speech. And it's interesting because both the right and the left have made this argument. They're saying these companies are media companies. And the left says because they're media companies, they have a responsibility to monitor speech. And the right says because they are media companies, they have the responsibility to allow people speech, like you would in a public space.
Yeah, but I guess there's a limit to that, no?
Well, there's very few limits, and so the argument one could say is that Trump is yelling fire in a building, in a burning building, right? Or in a non-burning building. I mean, I guess if the building's burning, then fire would be legitimate and okay. But if you're causing panic or inciting violence, you're not protected by the First Amendment. That would
Uh,
be
he's always on some slippery slope. He
yeah.
might say one thing, he means the other thing. I don't know.
hmm But let's say here's the argument I've heard, the best argument I've heard for the freedom of speech side, because I tend to lean on the freedom of speech side, is that let's say simply for the fact that he is the president, if he is inciting violence, the people who need to be aware of that, minorities, the people who could be targeted, we need to know about that.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like we need to know that the president is out for like that needs to be public knowledge. So just for the fact of that, we should be very worrisome about media companies like Facebook and Twitter getting involved and filtering those sorts of things out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He always seems to get away with what he wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much we can do other than just ignore him. But hey, that's just me. I'm not.
And beat him in 2020. It's just our outlook with Joe Biden doesn't seem very good. I would have.
No, I mean, yeah. Right now is at a bad time when 2020 is just everything's just shit. We're only halfway through the year and things have only gotten worse.
Mm-hmm.
Things have only gotten worse.
Right.
So not only do you have a pandemic, you have social unrest because of racial tensions going on.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard that because this has hit people in their wallets, that this is actually a good thing for Joe Biden. And I don't know, Joe
Of
Biden.
course, politics are going to take advantage of what's going on in their favor to help them boost their their chances of being elected.
Yeah. Well, the argument I've heard is that people don't really follow the stories very well. They don't care about the media. They don't have time to look into the issues. But if their wallet is doing good, then they keep the president. And if their wallet's doing poorly, then they boot the president. And so that's sort of what I'm hoping happens this time around.
Well, I think that's going to have to be a conversation for another day because I hear fireworks and I need to check on my dog.
Oh, okay, go for it. So
That should wrap it up.
all right, so hope you all at home are doing great, and we'll try to post more regularly. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks guys. Take care. Stay safe. Love one another.